What's going on YouTube? Today I am in Forest Lawn Cemetery in Saginaw, Michigan. I'm here to see a very famous grave. Not famous because this person was a movie star, rock star, musician, or magician, or anything in the entertainment world. This person was famous for another reason, a very unusual reason at that. It's a very unusual story, a very interesting story that this person has. And I definitely cannot wait to tell you guys. So stay tuned. Let's do this. Let's go on an adventure. Like I said, guys, I am in Forest Lawn Cemetery here in Saginaw, Michigan. This is a huge, very huge cemetery, very beautiful cemetery. You could easily get lost. But today we are here to visit a very wealthy person who is actually a lumber baron. But that is not the reason that I am here to visit his gravesite. He has a very unusual story. There's some very beautiful headstones here. I've never ever heard of this before until recently. I've heard of many different, things, but this is definitely unusual. And here's the grave that we are visiting. This is the grave site of lumber baron Wellington R Burt.
Burt had one of the more bizarre wills in American legal history. It contained a spike clause which specified to wait until his children and grandchildren were dead before the estate could be dispersed to any descendants yet unborn in Burt's lifetime. However, his children did receive relatively small immunities of $1,000 to $5,000 each, except for one favorite son who received $30,000 annually, and one unfavored daughter who got nothing. His secretary received $4,000 annually, more than most of his children, while a cook, housekeeper, coachman, and chauffeur each received $1,000 annually. Burt's will stipulated the majority of the estate to be held in a trust until 21 years after the death of my last surviving grandchild, who was alive at the time of my death. This condition was met in 2010, 21 years after the November 1989 death of Burt's last grandchild, Marion Lansell. In May 2011, after time for legal negotiations, the fortune was finally distributed to his descendants. The estate was estimated in a total at $100 million to $110 million. It was split between 12 descendants, weighed based on age, seniority. They included 3 great-grandchildren, 7 great-great-grandchildren, and 2 great-great-great-grandchildren. The youngest beneficiary was 19, and the oldest was 94. The biggest beneficiary received between 14.5 to 16 million, with the smallest beneficiary between 2.6 and 2.9 million. In the end, 30 of Burt's descendants, including children and grandchildren, missed out on the inheritance because they were ineligible or died before the will's conditions were met. It is not entirely clear why Burt made such an unusual will, but newspaper records suggest family feuds were likely at the core of his decision. The will was challenged by his children after he died. A legal hole was found in 1920 because part of the estate was composed of iron leases in Minnesota, and Minnesota had a law against trust of such long standing. This portion of the estate, amounting to $5 million, was distributed to Burt's children and grandchildren, a son, 3 daughters, and 4 granddaughters. In 1961, an additional $720,000 was taken from the trust in settlement of a suit filed by 9 heirs and the estate of 3 other descendants. Burt's legacy is mixed. On the one hand, he was once a famous and successful businessman who contributed to the community in many ways and was generally well regarded in his lifetime. On the other hand, he is best known today for his bizarre will, giving him the reputation of a vindictive old man. Saginaw historian Thomas B. Mudd said, "For a while, I took Wellington R Burt as a selfish rich guy, but the picture that emerges is of someone who also threw himself into the community. Burt could be tough, and not just with his children. Burt had originally devised millions in his will to the city, but retracted it when Saginaw officials increased his South Jefferson property assessment from $400,000 to $1 million 4 years before he died in 1919. One well-known story recounts how Burt ordered some horses at the lumber mill to be starved and worked to death. "Mr. Callum, the horses are too fat," Burt reportedly said. "Trim them down, sir, and when the logs are out, dispose of them." Mr. Callum refused to starve and kill the horses, so Burt fired him and found someone who would carry it out. But Burt was generous in life and honored after death. His charitable giving to Saginaw during a lifetime was extensive, including funding the city auditorium, the Burt Annual Training School, a women's hospital, and a YMCA that later became Jacobson's. The town of Burt, Michigan is named after him. as is Burt Street in Saginaw, which borders the same block as his former home. The Burt Opera House carries his name and is still in use today as a community center. Trips to the paddle steamer Wellington R Burt were once a popular day excursion along the Saginaw River. Burt was included in the Saginaw Hall of Fame in 1967.
That's it.
And all this wood came from the Charles Lee Mill. This was the Charles Lee lumber baron's home. All of this wood would have come from his mill because his planing mill was right across the street. Wolverine, what was that? Wolverine. What was the name of that place that was there? Right across the street. Timbertown Restoration.
When we go down and see.
The report is that it's coming down the house.
That would have been another mill over here. So.
Well, that's true.
You have modern lights. This is all a modern steel, metal. Look at this.
Yeah, plenty of that. Look at the browse up of the windows. That's beautiful work. But over here, look at this here.
I hope you guys enjoyed this video and learning a little bit of Mr. Burt here, guys. I don't want to be too loud because there are people in the cemetery near their family members, so I don't want to film anybody and I don't want to be disrespectful, so that's why I'm being quiet and I'm filming in the back of the mausoleum right now. So but he definitely had a very interesting story. I've never heard of a will that was like that. That was very unusual. Definitely very unusual will. But like I said, guys, if you liked this video, smash that like, subscribe, and most definitely share me out on all your social medias, guys. Check out the links below. Check out the merch. Check out my PayPal. Become a member, guys. All that goes towards making more videos and going to amazing locations like this one here. Until the next adventure, I'll see you guys. Peace.